So to start off with, we're going to be having a look at this beautiful dripper called Origami. It's made by a company in Japan. So it's got 20 ribs around the edge like this. And these ribs over here make it easier for the water, the hot water, to breathe through. Because usually you've got these types of filters, drippers, and these, as you can see, it's kind of sealed up. So there's no room for the water to breathe or the air to escape. So you've got this closed up section here. The walls are all closed up, and it sort of means that everything is kind of suffocating in there. And the only way out, or the only sort of place that it can escape, is from the bottom. Then you've got this guy over here, the other extreme. And this is what I've been using for a long time, maybe over a year now. And it's been fantastic, but with these new Hario filter papers, which I've been using recently, and they're a lot thinner, they've been bulging through these little spaces. And I might make a video later on about that to show you, or just put some photos up or something. But what happens is there's not enough support with this wireframe filter. And what happens there is that the soft or the flimsy filter papers tend to bulge out through these gaps. And that's a huge problem. And also it's not giving it enough support. And you've probably also got some excess water, or the water escaping through the sides, and you don't really want that happening. You want everything to be coming down through the bottom, so you're getting like an even extraction. So yeah, this is like the best of both worlds. It's giving it room to breathe on the sides through the ribs, but it's also giving you enough support so you can use those softer filters, or those more flimsy filter papers, which are fantastic. I'm finding those to give me a really, really clear taste. They've been really, really good. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start brewing something. So let's see what we're going to have today. We've got a couple of different coffees at the moment. Okay, I must say I'm keen to finish the Kenyan Masai. This is another sort of a light roast, similar to the Irigashef in terms of roast. And it's very, very fruity. It's got some really nice flavors in there. So we're gonna, isn't it heaven? Just, the coffee receptors, the caffeine receptors are going. All right, let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're gonna start off by loading our coffee grinder. So I think we're gonna be able to get, yeah, I'm going to go all in, and that's pretty much, and that's the end of our Kenya Masai coffee. So once that's done, we're going to move on to our Kaldi haul, which I ended up getting yesterday. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was half price at Kaldi, and I ended up getting a few bags of things. I got some Guatemala, which is one of my favorites, and also just some mild roast. And the mild roast, actually, this stuff here, I've already labeled it. I had some yesterday. Surprisingly good. Really, really nice. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and grind in our Epios hand grinder, which I put a video up of the other day. It's been fantastic. It's got a couple of quirks though, like everything does in life. But anyway, we're going to set this to, I think it was 35 was a good setting that we had the other day, and away we go. If you can hear something in the background boiling, that's the water heating up. So hopefully we're going to have everything ready to go soon. But in the meantime, I've got another couple of things on my list here that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Oh yeah, a bit more about the Origami dripper holder, or the dripper, is that it comes in a couple of sizes. The size you see here is actually the small size, and it's good for up to about 2 cups. And for me, to be honest, that's usually enough, because I usually just do the usual kind of 2 scoops of coffee, 18 to 20 grams of coffee. And this filter over here, it seems to be just enough. Any more than that, and I would want to jump up to the 2 to 4 servings, and that would be the M size. As far as I know, there's no L size for this dripper, but yeah, I think it's more than enough if you get the M size, if you're doing multiple cups. But yeah, and they seem to not cost that much different. I mean, they both are about the 3,000 yen mark, which is quite reasonable for what they are, I feel. They're made out of this beautiful, smooth porcelain, and they're not too heavy or anything. and they're just really, really nice to the touch. And they come in about 10 colors, roughly, don't quote me on that, roughly about 10 colors. And as you can see, I ended up getting the red one because it matches my coffee scoop. But yeah, it's been really good so far. And I'm noticing that the extraction is a lot more even. And when the water goes through, the bed of coffee that's left there is very, very nice and even and flat, even without making much of an effort to swirl things around, which is what I usually do. Another great thing about the dripper is that you can use two types of filter papers in there. You can use the regular conical type or the Kalita wave filters. They both fit and they give you a different kind of a taste. With the Kalita wave filter, apparently it gives you, I haven't tried them yet in this dripper, but apparently it gives you a faster flow rate, and that can result in a different taste. So I might try that one day if I'm curious, but for now I'm really, really happy with this setup. Anyway, our water's done and so are our beans, so let's go ahead and make our cup of coffee. One thing I'm really happy about, by the way, with this guy is that the beans, the coffee grounds just come out really smoothly from that little catcher in the bottom. There's no strange kind of static. In the beginning I thought maybe there was, but I noticed if I give it a nice kind of some momentum when I pour it in, it comes out really smoothly. It's not clinging onto the sides. Maybe it's the material or something. Anyway, we've got our beautiful coffee over here, and it smells absolutely, it smells absolutely divine. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. Okay, we're gonna now pour our cup, and we've got our water over here in this beautiful, we've got this kettle over here where you can control the temperature and all that, and it lets us get to a nice temperature for coffee. So let's now pour slowly. Now with the lighter roasts like this, you have to grind a lot finer. Look at that. Oh, that's looking absolutely beautiful. And it results in, there's a bit more resistance, obviously, because the coffee grounds are finer, and it means that it needs a bit more time. And I like to give these a little bit more time than usual during this blooming phase so that we give it more opportunity to extract all the flavor from within and let that CO2 gas escape. Before I forget, there's a couple of puns that came up a couple of weeks ago or last week that I posted on X. And why not? While we're waiting for the coffee to brew over here, we can go ahead and I'll give one to you right now. Maybe I'll save the other one for a bit later. So the first one goes like this. Can you put soy sauce on sushi? Sure you can. The hell with it, I can't wait. I'm gonna have to tell you my next one already. I mean, we've still got some time with the coffee. So the next one goes a bit like this. Which vegetable is better the next day? Tomorokoshi. I'm seriously gonna stop now. Not because I feel bad for you, but because I don't have any left. There's something to be grateful for. So if I were doing this brew with this kind of a dripper right now, we'd be waiting forever because there's no sort of flow happening apart from the bottom. On the sides, it's all locked up and everything just gets stuck. It's got a really nice flow rate, and you'll soon see, like I'll just give this a little gentle swirl, but you'll soon see that when the coffee's done, how nice and flat the coffee bed is over here. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful when the way it goes through. It's really, really nice. Okay, so that's pretty much done. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this dripper. And let's go ahead and pour ourselves a cup. There really is nothing like a cup of nice coffee to start the morning, is there? Beautiful. Everything's extracted perfectly. I'm getting all of the flavors. You've got... One thing I was noticing with my previous setup, using the cheaper grinder and the cheaper papers and the cheaper dripper, is that when I was doing lighter roasts like this, I could never seem to get it right. Things were either too acidic, like too fruity and too sour, or they were, if I went too far and made the grind too fine, it was like either too bitter or it just had a strange, weird taste. It didn't taste good. And I was kind of trying to convince myself like, oh, but this is supposed to be good coffee bean, so I'm sure it's good and I'm just not, experienced enough in coffee to appreciate the taste. But I think really after leveling things up, I can actually taste a huge difference. Like I'm getting the best of everything now in this cup. I'm getting the acidity, the fruitiness, and I'm getting the coffee flavor and the actual the depth of the coffee, and it's just absolutely great. It's really, really good. Anyway, let's keep going with the show, eh? It's been a while since I've last done an episode like this, and there's quite a few things to, share. There's a few things that I've done over the last couple of weeks, and one of those things is cycling. I've been getting back into cycling slowly, and so I went on a cycling trip to two places, actually, on two separate trips, and I got some videos up if you want to have a look at those over here. But I'll quickly put them over the screen now here, and you can see one of them is Odaka Ryokuchi Koen, which is located southeast-ish of Nagoya City, and beautiful park. I had been there before, I think, but not by bicycle. And it's really, really nice. It's got this dinosaur park inside, as you can see, and that was really, really, a different kind of a place for me, and it was really fun, really relaxing. And the way that I sort of found this place was that I was at home and I was kind of feeling a bit, down and not in the mood for exercise. And I said, John, get the hell up, and I looked at a Google map and I started looking for green sections in the terrain. And as soon as I saw this place, I was like, wait, where's that? There's relatively large kind of a green area. And I was like, oh, that's Odaka Ryokuchi, which I had heard of and I had been to once or twice in the past. So I just decided to punch it into the map, and off I went. And it's surprisingly close. It was only about 10 to 15 kilometers away, which isn't too bad. And I got there and it was just an absolutely beautiful place. So I highly recommend, if you're confused and you don't know where to go and you don't have enough time to go really far, just open up Google Maps and look for, a green patch that you can quickly get to. And some of these places you can even get to with public transport. So even if you're not a cyclist and not into cycling, you can absolutely find something, a getaway that's not too far away. You don't have to spend a ton of money, and you don't have to spend a lot of time either to get away from, the city. The other place is Shonai Ryokuchi Park, which is actually accessible by subway, believe it or not. Very unusual for a park of that size, around here anyway. But that was really, really nice as well. Oh yeah, there was this cheap coffee challenge, which I thought I'd put out on X a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Softy Papa who mentioned that there was this cheap coffee in a vending machine. And it reminded me of a vending machine around here, which has coffee. It was 80 yen up till very recently, and then inflation hit, damn it, and it hit 90 yen. So it's currently 90 yen. And then I put out this tweet on X and asked everyone if they knew of cheaper coffees out there. And one of my followers mentioned that there's a coffee machine at a business, I think, for about 50 yen, but apparently it's gone up to 60 yen or something like that. Then over in Osaka, Brad mentioned that there's a machine that's, I think, 50 yen. So there are these really cheap vending machines that sell ultra cheap coffee, even in these trying times. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to see all the different types of cheap coffees out there. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, speaking of cheap, Tokyo has this free drinking water thing going on. And they have these drinking stations. So if you're in Tokyo, or if you're going to visit Tokyo, keep this information handy. You can bookmark it. There's a URL that shows you all of these locations. There are these free water fountains where you can use them either to just drink water as is, I think. I think there are a couple of types. One is like more like a bubbler where you can just drink water there. And the other one is for, I think, filling up your water bottles. So really good idea, nice service. They're apparently completely free, and you can, I'll put the link down there in the description for you. You can check that out. But yeah, it's a good way to make sure that you don't dehydrate, because really it's something that, I bring this up every year. You've really got to be careful of dehydration. It creeps up on you. It's not something that gives you a very long warning sign. You could be just walking up a hill or walking around the city, feeling fine 1 second and just being a little bit thirsty and like, oh, it's hot, isn't it today? And that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're dizzy and you're, sitting down on the side of the footpath or whatever. And it can get very, very serious very quickly. So please be careful. As soon as you feel that the heat is a bit excessive or that you're thirsty and it's hot, make sure that you rehydrate, have some water, and take it easy. Sit down or just catch your breath, because it can really creep up. And it's one of those things, you know, it's if you leave it for too long, it can be too late. And when it's too late, it takes forever to recover. It takes ages. You know, once it hits you that hard, it can be really hard to recover from dehydration. It can take hours until you're feeling better. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, in serious cases, it can even be fatal. So it's a very serious thing, and it's real. And don't think that it only happens to, you know, old people and children. It happens to anyone. There were even a couple of cases last year where high school students became seriously ill, not just like temporary, you know, there were some serious cases last year. So be careful with that, and make sure that you take advantage of all of these free water places that are around. It's a really good thing. Okay, I mentioned my coffee grinder at the beginning when I was making my coffee, and it's this guy over here, the Epios, and it's been really, really nice. It's got a really beautiful premium feel to it, and I did a whole video on that, so you can, I'm not going to talk about it for too long in this video, but you can check it out if you like. I'll put the link up here, and it's just been really good. To be honest though, there's something about coffee that gets sentimental. No matter what you do, you can't get away from the sentimental aspect of coffee, can you? When I was grinding with this the first couple of times, I was remembering my old grinder, and I was kind of like, you know what, this is better, but I kind of missed using my old grinder, and I was like, you know, it gets emotional, doesn't it, with things like this? You get attached to things that you use every day. So it's a really nice grinder, but occasionally I'm sort of missing or remembering, it's natsukashi, you know, remembering using that grinder. And that was my first grinder, the previous one. So I'm kind of attached to it, and for that reason, I'm not throwing it away. I'm keeping it. And I reckon I'll be using it maybe, you know, one of these days. So I might make an appearance, so stay tuned for that. On the tech side of things, there was this post that I saw on X about last year, I think it was, about these USB charging ports located on the sides of these directional signs in Nagoya City. And I was like, that's really odd. I've never noticed that. And at first I thought it was maybe a bit of a joke, but I went cycling the other day. I think it was when I went to Shonai Ryokuchi Park, actually. And I found one of these signs, and I said, you know what, I want to have a look and see for myself if they actually exist, these USB ports. And guess what? They exist. They're real. And I'll put a couple of photos up here on the screen, and you can see them for yourself. So there'll basically be this USB symbol, an icon, on the, I think it's the top right of the sign. And if it's got that, you just look for this little port on the side of the sign. It's been concealed really nicely. Obviously, they have to do that to make it weatherproof. So you just slide it open and you just plug it in. It's just like a regular USB port. I haven't tried it myself yet. I'd like to take a device with me next time with a cable and test it out to see if it actually works. Because it would be a real pity if it was just a cosmetic thing and it didn't actually work. But what do you think? Like, I think that's a really, really smart, clever idea. I think all of us have been in situations where we're stuck for juice, and you know, maybe you've left your mobile battery at home, or maybe that's dead as well. So it's actually really good. I think it's also something that might be very useful in an emergency. It's something that, you know, we can all make use of. By the way, I'd love to hear from the other people living around Japan. Does this exist in other prefectures and other cities as well? It's the first time I've seen one. And so I've never really paid attention to these things. And even in Nagoya, like these signs, these directional signs, they've only just gone up in the last year or two. So they're very new. And so I think this whole concept of, you know, having a USB port on the side of a sign, I think that in itself is a new thing as well. So I'm really curious. I'd love to know if your city has these, and if it does, like, what do they look like? Are they the same or are they different? Let me know on either in the comments or on X. Those of you who follow me on X will know I'm quite active on X. So if you ever want to, you know, share stuff and talk about stuff, feel free to join X and join us on the platform over there. It's at Ohazassu. I've also got, by the way, don't forget, I'm on Instagram as well. So if you're on Instagram and you don't do X or vice versa or whatever, I'm on both. And also, this actually leads me into another topic that I wanted to talk about quickly on this episode, is my website. So eventually, and I think that's going to be happening this month, I've actually uploaded all of my episodes and most of my content onto my own website. I haven't published it yet, but it takes a bit of time, especially for someone like me who is not a a web developer or a software engineer. It's taking me a bit of time to get done, but I'm slowly getting there, and I'm finding the experience really rewarding and really kind of fun, actually. So as soon as that's up, I'll let you guys know. But you'll be able to find all of this stuff on my website as well eventually. And on the website, there'll be links to, X, Instagram, YouTube, etc., etc. So keep an eye out for that. It should be going live in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out. Okay, in the world of Japanese language learning, kanji dictionaries. This is something that came up the other day. I was thinking about how we have all of these new apps, and I think I may have spoken about this in the previous episode, in episode 88, about how the convenience of recent learning methods. We have all these apps and electronic dictionaries that look things up for us as soon as we just scan them. They're very convenient, but I feel like the learner is having to do less work. And with less work, it means that you're not engaging your senses enough. And it might be affecting your retention or your comprehension. So it kind of encourages laziness in a way. I think, it's an easy or simplified way to put it. I'm not saying that they're not useful, because I think for certain things, or combined with traditional methods or analog methods, I think they're very, very useful. They can actually speed things up. But if you're simply only relying on these easy and convenient methods, I think you're going to find that it's going to take you longer to actually remember everything. Because if everything's just spoon-fed to you, the brain doesn't have to work much. And for that reason, I started thinking about this, and I was like, you know what, looking up kanji, for example, in a paper dictionary, which is how everyone used to look up kanji a very long time, not a very long time ago. I'm going to sound like a really old person now. But before the internet and before smartphone apps, we all had to use paper dictionaries, right? And I'm one of those people as well. In 96 and 97, I was actually in high school and seriously studying Japanese. Until that point, I was just studying it normally, not very seriously at all. But in year 11 and year 12 in Australia, I got really serious about learning Japanese, because the more I got into it, the more I liked it and I enjoyed it. And this dictionary was one of the things that I had to buy. There was no other way to look up kanji that I didn't know how to read. So this actually, I found that it engaged a lot of different areas of my brain. And there's also, study and research into multimodal learning. And that means when you're touching things and you're listening and, you're using various senses, not just the one sense. Like with a smartphone app, you just literally, you're doing nothing actually. The app is doing the work for you. You're actually not doing anything apart from pointing the camera at the text. So there's not really much going on up here. So with a paper dictionary, you're actually engaging all the senses, you're looking things up, your brain is constantly analyzing and looking for differences between kanji, because you've basically got, I cover this in a video that I did the other day, and you can, if you're curious about how to use a paper kanji dictionary, I highly recommend clicking on that one, and so you can learn how to look kanji up. But it engages all the different parts of the brain. You're actually actively analyzing the differences between kanji. So say you're looking at a kanji on a signboard or something, and you don't know what it is, and you identify what the radical is. You look up the radical index in the kanji dictionary, and you're presented with sometimes maybe 50 or so characters, and they all look, the left side of those characters all look the same. So, but when you're looking for which one it is, you're actually actively searching and analyzing each of those kanji very quickly, which ones are different and which ones are the same. And as soon as you find the same one, that's when you get your dopamine hit, in the modern day social media stuff, you get your dopamine hit every 2 seconds when you're scrolling. But in the old fashioned book kind of era, you get your dopamine hit when you find the kanji. So yeah, it's really, really nice. And you actually end up, analyzing the kanji more. And this all leads to better retention in my experience. The more effort you put into something, there's a couple of things at play, I think. There's the fact that you're putting in more effort, and the brain wants to avoid doing that again. Okay, so your brain is going to try to remember it more. And there's also, like I just mentioned earlier, the multimodal aspect of it as well. You're touching the pages, you're running your finger through lists, you're looking left and right, you know, you're active, your brain is active, you're physically active, moving around, using your hands, and it helps with it, with all of this stuff. But anyway, if you want to improve your kanji retention or your comprehension of the whole concept of kanji, which is a very foreign concept to people who don't come from a kanji background, I highly recommend looking at that video and picking up a paper dictionary. You can probably get a second-hand paper kanji dictionary from Book Off or whatever for a very low price, I'm guessing. I mean, I can have a look and let you guys know. But yeah, they're a really, really good way to improve your learning, in my opinion. Time for another sip. Okay, to close up before we finish the episode and get into word of the day, Saizeriya and QR codes. And QR codes in general. This seems to be a really kind of a controversial topic sometimes. What do you guys think about QR codes in restaurants where you have to scan, you know, use your phone to scan a QR code at the table and then use a menu that appears on your smartphone to make an order? Some people don't like the idea of removing the human component from the whole, you know, dining out experience. And other people are more on the side of, hey, it's more convenient and it's easier and I don't have to talk to anyone and I can check everything myself before I push the order button. So what's the problem? So there are these two sides and I find myself kind of in the middle. To be honest, I don't really like the idea of removing the human element. But at the same time, I do appreciate the convenience of it. And sometimes it's, you know, if you're tired or you just don't feel like talking to anyone, it can be a bit easier to use a QR code system. But there are other restaurants, like for example, Gusto puts tablets at each table. So you don't need an app or to use your phone. You can just use and you don't have to scan anything. You just tap what you want on the tablet and that's how they do it at Gusto. So I think personally for me, that's probably a bit better for me because I don't like the idea of having to use my own device to do something that the restaurant should be doing, is one. And also, what if there's something wrong with my phone? You know, like it's just, I know you can call the waiter over and you can order verbally if you really want to, and I think they can't refuse that. Because obviously there are people who have just lost their phone or people who don't bring their phone out with them. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously cases where people aren't going to be able to use their phone. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting thing. I don't know why they're trying. It's kind of like, I think what people don't like about this whole thing is that it feels like it's being pushed onto us. I think if they let us choose, like let's say for example they had a tablet and they had the QR code option. And actually when I said that, I just remembered one of the restaurants that I go to, I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's Kurazushi. That's just the sushi train chain here in Japan. I think Kurazushi actually has that. So they've got a tablet at the table. Let me just try and remember. Yeah, there is. There's a tablet at the table and there is a QR code displayed on the tablet. And it actually says, like, if you want to use the QR code, just scan this. Or if you want to use the tablet, just order it from the tablet. I think personally, people wouldn't have as much of a problem with this whole thing if the options were there. So it's good if you just leave the options open and let people choose what's best for them. And then, you know, maybe it can be a gradual shift. I'm not saying that, you know, we shouldn't ever change anything because obviously there'd be no progress if that happened. But maybe the key in a happier kind of environment is to make things a bit more gradual, you know, make changes a bit more gradual is all I'm saying. But let me know what you think about the whole QR code thing. Do you have any strong opinions on it, or you just not care? I find myself not really caring about it most of the time. I'm just like, whatever, like, you know, that's how you order here. So what? You know, it's not a big deal. But sometimes when I think about it, because I have this, one of my superpowers is empathizing with people. And as soon as I bump into someone who starts talking about how much they hate the QR code system, I start feeling for them. I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, you have a point. It's kind of annoying, isn't it? So I find myself struggling sometimes with my opinions on these kinds of things. But generally speaking, like, I'm fine either way. But I do think that there should be some options, and it is kind of nice to have that human element as well where possible, because that's slowly disappearing, isn't it? I mean, yesterday I went to a Subway. And this Subway had this really weird system. It felt very cold. I won't go into too many details here because it'll just drag on. But it was a very cold experience. And honestly, like, I don't feel like going there again. It just felt really awkward. It was a weird hybrid of human and machine. And I don't know, it just didn't feel great. Anyway, so that's it for today's episode. I think we've covered way too many topics. And this is what happens every time when I don't do an episode for a long time, and I think it's been a month again. I promised myself it would never be a month again, but here we are, because I did a couple of videos in between this time at least, so it's not all bad. But yeah, anyway, I'm trying to think about word of the day now, and what should we go with? Okay, I've decided on a word of the day, and it's going to be infure, which is inflation in Japanese. And that came up when we were talking about the coffee cans, the cheap coffee cans in the vending machines, and it's something that we're all affected by at the moment. So I thought it's a relevant one for this episode. Anyway, thanks very much for tuning in as always. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps us and it supports us in our journey here at Ohazassu, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, beautiful. Get those caffeine receptors going.